Hello everyone, my name is Harshkumar Khatri and welcome to the session 8 on Flutter 101 Bootcamp. I am assuming everyone is doing great. Now let's move towards today's session. So in today's session we'll be covering about what list views are and how you can create list view inside your Flutter application. We'll be also seeing what grid views are in the later part of this session. So the first thing which you may know about list view is that for list view there are various different items which are displaying in the form of a list inside a widget which we have specified. So now let's start creating the list view. So I'll remove the code which is given which comes when we run the flutter create command. So this code won't be useful to us in this session. Removing the floating action button as well, and we don't need this column. Now let's start creating the list view. So for a list view we have a center here. Inside it I can take a container as my widget and I can assign the child of this container as a list view. So for list view we have three different types through which we can assign items inside a list view. So the first one is directly by assigning children inside a list view. The second and third one is by adding a dot builder or dot count, if I am not wrong, to along with the list view, so that we can display like we can return an item through an item builder which is present inside the list view. Let's move towards the first one, which is by adding a children inside the list view. So after I have added a children, I'll add a list tile. So this will be basically a tile which will be appearing or which will be having a particular item which we want. So I'll assign a title to it. The title will be of a type widget, and I'll add a text to it. And inside the text, I'll write hello. Now adding some commas and saving place. I'll copy this list view and I'll paste it 3 to 4 times and changing the text, how are you, and at last adding a question mark. Now let me save this text. So you can see here that it has displayed me all the text which I have added inside this list tile in the form of a list. And to check if this list is scrollable or not, I'll copy it and I'll paste it 4 to 5 times so that it exceeds the length of this particular screen. So here you can see that it has exceeded the length, but when I am trying to scroll it, it is letting me scroll the items which are present inside the list view, and through this we can add a list view, or we have added the items list inside our application. Now let's move towards the second part of like how we can add various different items inside a list view. So for example, if you are having a particular widget, this method is generally useful when we are having various different widgets which we want to use inside our application. So this widget could be of a type container, this widget could be of a type text, or of a type list type. So this method is generally used at that time. But for example, if you are having all the childrens which are of a type text and you don't want to add this much code or these much widgets, or adding a text again and again, so what you can do is you can use another method, which is by adding list view dot builder. So let me remove this code first, and this children's, removing this as well. And now what I can do is I can add a dot after list view, and after it will provide me with various different options. So there are three more options, but will be using, or we'll be seeing the two only, which is one is the builder and one is the separated. Let's move with the builder as of now. So inside a builder, what all things we can pass is, the first thing which we'll be passing is a padding. I'll pass a padding of 8 from all the sides. The next thing which we have to pass is an item. So I'll assign the item count to be entries dot length. So we need to create this entries list, and after it we need to pass item builder to it. An item builder will be taking two things. The first will be context and the second will be index. So I'll add the types which they'll be having, so it will be of type build context. So now we have to add a braces here, so that this is the thing, or this is the function widget which will be returned when this list view builder is called. Now let's work towards creating this entries list. So on the top of my state for this my home page, I'll make a list of type entries and I'll assign some items towards it. So the first item will be A, B, C, etc. So now let's save it and let's see what all things it displays. For so we haven't passed anything inside it or inside this return, so we need to add that. So what I'll do is I'll add a return here, and inside the return we'll be having a container which will have a height of 50 and it will have a color of colors dot yellow, and inside it we'll be having a child having center, which it has a text widget, and inside this text widget what we can pass is quotes. Then we can add a dollar so that we can pass the variable values inside the text in the form of a string, and inside the dollar what we can pass is entries and then this index which we have passed from here. And at last we need to add a semicolon at the end of this return statement. I'll add some commas so that it appears in a better way or in a formatted way. So here you can see that it is appearing in a formatted way, and here we are able to see all the items or all the things which are present inside this particular list. So if you have various different lists having the data inside your application or holding the data, then you can use those lists to display the data inside your Flutter application. And similarly, if you are fetching data from some of the API, so similarly, if you are fetching data from some of your API and you are getting the data in the form of JSON or in the form of list, then you can use these list view builders to display your data in the form of a list if your app requires the data to be displayed in the form of a list. Now let's move toward other thing, like how we can display an infinite list inside our application. So for displaying an infinite list, what we can do is we don't need to pass item count or like these things to it. So if we are not passing an item count to it and we are directly removing this container and adding a list style in place of it, so let me add it first. And inside the list style we are passing the title to be of a type text widget which will be displaying index is $index. So we haven't passed the item count here, so it will be taking the item count to be equal to infinite. So let's save it and see if it displays something. So it is still reloading. So you can see here this list is of a type infinite type, so we'll keep on scrolling and it will keep on showing us all the different items or all the different indexes which are appearing inside this list. Now let's move towards the next part, which was how we can add or how we can use ListView.separated here. So ListView.separated what generally ListView.separated is used for. So whenever we are having our Flutter application and we want to provide some widget, or we want to separate the items which are present inside our list view with the help of some other widget. So for example, let me save this and show you through the app. So I need to uncomment this length as well. So here you can see that when we are displaying items from a list, so all these items are appearing one after the other. The first thing which we can do is to separate them is by adding a padding to this container, or by wrapping this container inside a padding. And the second thing which we can use is we can use a separator, ListView.separated, in place of ListView.builder. And when we are using this ListView.separated, we are provided with an extra option which is named as Separator Builder. So when we are having this option, So when we are having this option, what this option generally do is it takes the context and index like similarly like the item builder, and through this option we can pass another widget inside this particular widget tree, so that here after this A another item will be passed between both of these to separate these items from each other so that they appear in a better way. So let's pass divider as of now. So I'll return a divider for now, and when I'll hot reload it, the divider will be appearing here. But what if I replace it with a text widget, and in the text I'll add hello? So this divider will be replaced by hello for this. So you can see that. And if the total number of items which are present inside this list, or from the list count which whatever we are taking is X, so the this separator builder will be running or will be showing this particular widget X minus 1 times. So here we have 3 items which are displaying, and we are able to see the list view dot separator list view dot separated, or this separator builders only 2 times. One more thing which I would like to tell you about this list view is that, for example, if you are having only 3 items as of now, but if we are having more than 3 items, so I'll copy these items multiple times so that the demonstration becomes easy. I guess these are more than enough. Let me hot reload it. I guess I need to hot restart now. So here you can see that we have different items available inside this list view. So what I was telling you is that for example, take the instance of this particular list style which, or this particular widget which has A written inside it. So whenever we are scrolling this list view and this A gets on the top, or this A gets beyond this particular mark, this A will be removed from the widget tree, from the render object tree, and from the third tree which we have in Flutter. So what this A will be done, what will be done to this A? So it will be removed, and all the data related to it will be like dumped. And when we are getting, or when we are scrolling down and this A becomes available again, it is regenerated and it is displayed to the user again. So it is created from the code through a widget tree, and then through a render object tree, and then it is appearing, or it is displayed to a user. So now let's take an instance. If you are in place of this particular widget, what you are using is you are using an upvote system, or you are trying to interact with the user through this particular tile. So you have added 2 buttons here, which one says upvote and one says downvote. So for example, if you are clicking on upvote for now, so if you will be scrolling this tile above, so your vote, once you have added your upvote, and if you are scrolling it above, so what the thing will be taking place is that your upvote will be like dumped along with the widget which was dumped. So for example, if for A you have added an upvote and you have scrolled above, so the A will be lost along with your upvote. So your data will also be dumped, or your data will also be removed along with the widget. So to deal with this condition, what you can do is you can either run a particular function whenever you are clicking, or whenever you are detecting a gesture on this upvote, or you can add some other like icon button, so that on the click on that particular icon, upvote icon, that button is running a function. So this generally happens with the list view. So you can deal with these condition as I have told you. uh, this was for the construction and destruction part of the list view. Now we have one more way through which we can generate a list view. So it is basically not a list view, but with the help of custom scroll view, by passing a sliver app bar, or passing sliver body or sliver list to it, we can create a list view similar to what we have seen. And also inside the list view, this is a of a type vertical scrollable, but we can pass a horizontal scrollable list view also. So let me show you. For scroll direction, what we need to pass is axis dot horizontal, and saving it. So you can see here inside our application, now the list view has become a horizontally scrollable. So this is how we can pass a horizontal scrollable list view or vertical scrollable list view inside our application. Now let's move towards the custom scroll view part, in which we'll be adding a list view with the help of sliver list. So it is basically another way of handling what we can say an list type. So if you don't want to add, or if you don't want to prefer list view inside your application, then you can use sliver list for displaying your application. So let's move towards it. So what I'll do is I'll quickly remove this list view dot separated code from my application, and in place of it what we'll be doing is uh, adding a custom scroll view. So it is displaying this, and inside it I need to add shrink wrap. So shrink wrap takes a type of bool. So you can read out here what a shrink wrap does is it creates a scroll view that creates custom scroll effect using slivers. So it will be useful for creating custom scroll effect, and it takes a boolean variable. So I'll add a true to it. Now we need to add different slivers. So slivers are basically, you can consider as the childs which are present inside the custom scroll view. So it takes a list of widgets. The widget which we'll be using here is a sliver padding. So inside this what you can say custom scroll view, all or most of the elements which are used are of a type sliver only. So for our temporary, or for our we'll be using padding, but inside custom scroll view we'll be using sliver padding. And I'll add the padding of at insets dot all, providing a value of 8. Now I'll add a sliver inside it, and the sliver will be of type sliver list. So sliver is basically a name. So you don't need to worry what a sliver is, or you don't need to think on it what a sliver is. So like we have integer, or like we have boolean type, so similarly we have a sliver. But this sliver, so we have a list attached with this sliver, we have a padding attached with this sliver, and inside this sliver list we need to pass a delegate. So inside the delegate, what I'll be doing is I'll add a sliver child list delegate. So previously what I did was I added a builder delegate to it, and inside it we need to pass a list of widget list, and then assigning the type of it to widget, and passing a text widget to it saying hello, copying this text widget and pasting it multiple times. Oh. Saving it. So you can see here, after I have added these items to it, it is displaying all the items of this particular app, as we have used center as a top level widget. So it is displaying all these items here in the center. Now what if I add very similar items multiple times? So let me copy these and paste them multiple times. So it will be appearing, or it will be displaying these items in the form of a list view. So you can see here that it has displayed the items in the form of a list view. So this is basically another way through which you can use, or through which you can display list view inside your Flutter application. And we can also add empty list inside our application if we are having item count equals to 0, or if we are having item count uh, greater than 0, or we can have a particular condition for it. So we'll be checking if the item count is equal to 0, then we can pass a particular list view, or we can pass a particular sliver child list delegate to it. And if it is not so, then we can pass another container, or an empty container which does not have anything attached inside it, or which does not contains anything inside it. So let me move back my code to list view, and then let's see what all things other than these container or other than these childs we can add inside a list view. So we are back towards the list view part. So inside the list view, we have various different options, or we have various different properties which we can pass inside it. So first one is the scroll direction. So it is basically using for displaying the list in the form of a horizontal or in the form of a vertical. Next we have a reverse. So if we want to display the bottom of the list view on the top and top on the bottom, then we can use this reverse. If we are having different list view, then we can set primary to true if we want one particular list view to hold much more value as compared to other lists which are present inside the same application. And we have shrink wrap set to false, as I already told you what a shrink wrap is when we were looking towards the what custom scroll view. I guess we have an item builder for displaying all the items, and we have a separator builder for looking or adding a particular separator for item counts. We have it item count present here. Let's see what a builder has. So if we are having a separator, or if we are having list view dot builder, then as compared to the list view, the separated will be having much more items. So this was for the basic list view, like how you can add list view inside your application, or how you can add a custom scroll view inside your application. Now let's move towards the second part of our session, which is like how we can add a grid view, or how we can work with grid views inside our Flutter application. So let me remove this particular code for list view dot separated. And now we'll be seeing how we can add a grid view, or how we can work with a grid view inside our Flutter application. So for using a grid view, the variables or the widget name which we need to pass is grid view. And if we add a grid view, it also provides us with similar options. The first one is dot builder, and in place of separated, we have a custom count and extent operation, or extent modifier constructor available along with the grid view. So for now, what we'll be doing is we'll be seeing how we can display a grid view with the help of grid view dot count. So for dot count, the things which we need to pass, what we need to pass is the first thing which we need to add is we need to add a cross axis count to it. So I'll add a cross axis count to 2. So what cross axis means for this grid view is that left to right will be cross axis for this grid view, and top to bottom will be main axis for this grid view. So I have added a cross axis count of 2, so it will be displaying only 2 items on this cross axis. Now I'll add main axis spacing. So what main axis spacing will be, the spacing which will be provided between the items on the main axis, and along with this I'll add a cross axis spacing as well. So it will be also set to 10. Now we'll add a primary to set to false. So this won't be a primary grid view which we are having inside our Flutter application. So you can read out that it will be creating a custom scrollable 2D widget, 2D array of widgets with the fixed number of tiles inside the cross axis. Now we'll set it to false, and after this we'll add some padding to it. Padding of 8 from all sides. And now we'll be moving towards the children's, or we'll be adding a children's to it. So children, sorry for the typo. And inside the children we'll add a text which says hello, and we'll copy it and add it multiple times, saving it so that it appears in a formatted way, and changing the text from here. Saving it again. So you can see here inside the application that the items or these items have displayed in the form of a grid inside this. So what if I add a container over this particular text widgets and I'll add a color to it. So let me quickly add these. I need to add a container and inside it I need to pass a color. Copying it and pasting it 2 more times, moving these text widget from here. You let's save it and see how it appears. So here you can get an idea of the spacing which was provided to for the cross axis and the main axis. So here you can see for the cross axis we have only 2 elements which are appearing here, and we have passed a spacing of 10 here and the spacing of 10 here. Now what if I change this cross axis count to 3? So it will be changing the items which are appearing 2, 2, 2, 3, 3 on this particular cross axis. So this is how you can display elements inside a grid view by passing a cross axis count to it. So cross axis count is basically the items which will be appearing on a particular axis. Now for displaying this grid view, we have another option as well. So that was a builder, so you need to explore that all by yourself. We'll be seeing how we can use an alternative to this gridview.count to display a grid view. So the similar one which we use for the list view. So we'll be seeing how we can display a grid view with the help of a custom scroll view. So let's move towards it. Now I'll remove the code which was related to gridview.count. And after removing the code, I'll use a custom scroll view here. So inside a custom scroll view, I'll add a primary to false. And as previously we added slivers, so I'll add a slivers here. And inside it, we need to pass a list of widgets. So I'll add the sliver padding in place of sliver widget. And the sliver padding will be having a padding, of course. So I'll set the agent sets dot all to a value of 8, adding some commas to increase the formatting, saving it so that I have added 2 commas here, so saving it again. So now after we have passed a padding to it, I'll add a sliver to it again. So every sliver thing which we are having takes a sliver in place of a child, and inside the sliver we'll be having sliver grid, and I'll add a dot count to it. So it is basically similar to what we have for the grid view dot count. So here we are having sliver grid dot count, and inside it we will be passing similar items which was cross axis count set to 2, cross axis spacing set to 10, main axis spacing set to 10, and we'll add some childrens to it. So the children will be having widgets inside it. Widget to be specific, and then adding, let's see why it is displaying. So I haven't passed the main axis value here. Now inside this children, let's add the different widgets which we want to display. So I'll have a container here which will be having a color of colors dot yellow with a child of text saying hello, and adding a comma and copying it. then pasting it multiple times. So in place of this hello, I'll change the text. So now the formatting has taken place, and let's see what are the things which are displayed inside the application. So after a hot reload, I guess it will be displaying different containers with the text of hello and the color of yellow. So let me change the color of alternating containers. And saving it again. So inside the application, you can see that it has changed the color of alternate grid view or the grid view element to blue. So this is how we can add a grid view with the help of custom scroll view by using a sliver grid inside the list of slivers which we are having. Now let's see what all properties we have for a grid view. So let me move back the code to the grid view part or gridview.conf part. So here it is. Now wait a second. Yeah, so now the things which we can pass inside the grid view is that first it is like having similar things which we can pass inside it as compared to the list view. So let's see how we can make this grid view to horizontally scrollable, and then we'll be looking at how what are the different things which we can pass inside this grid view. Adding a comma and saving it again. I guess it does not have as many items as we need. Let's save it again. So you can see here that it is displaying the items in the form of horizontally scrollable grid view with the help of gridview.count. So it is not exceeding the default screen size, and it is providing us a grid view in the form of horizontally scrollable thing. Now let's see what all things we can pass inside a grid view. Where it is here. So as I showed you, we can pass the scroll direction for making the direction of scrolling to be horizontal or vertical. We can pass a reverse to it if we want to display the first element at last and last element at first. We can also pass aspect ratio if we want to set the aspect ratio of the elements which are present inside the as a child to a particular aspect ratio. So by default it displays squares inside this list view, but if we want we can set it to 1 by 2 to display a rectangle, and so on and so forth. We can pass the spacings, we can pass the count so that it displays a particular count inside as in the cross axis of the grid view. And similarly we can pass a children's to it. We can pass a drag behavior. So if we want our list view our grid view to be starting start the dragging from start, so we can set the drag start behavior set to drag start behavior dot start. And these are the options which we hardly use. So as a beginner you can ignore these, but like if you are moving forward then you will be learning about these options yourself. So this was for the grid view part, like how you can add a grid view inside your Flutter application. So for today, like there is no particular assignment, but what you have to do is you can just explore through, and you can use your app, or you can add list view and grid view to the apps which you have previously created. And after, if you have completed or after you have added all these things inside our application, you make sure to share it inside our Discord so that people can take inspiration and get motivated from your code, and they can also start working on things which you are building. So that was it for this particular session, and if you have any doubts then you can ask your doubts on Discord, so I'll be there to solve your doubts for this particular session. So thank you everyone for joining in.